Hi, everybody. Welcome to an episode of Talk Daredevil, where the people behind the Save Daredevil campaign come together to talk about all things Daredevil in the greater Marvel universe. I'm Kristina.
Hi, I'm Ayesha.
And hi, I'm Rhiannon.
And in case you were under a rock or are just new to the Daredevil fandom, the trailer dropped. And we were very, very excited about it. I can say from my end, I actually had an appointment that morning and I risked running late to the appointment because I wanted to be able to watch it with the rest of the team members at the same time so we could collectively freak out about it.
Yeah, and I made sure that I got to work on time so that the trailer dropped at 9 a.m. my time. So I was there 5 minutes before. I started my computer, went into the back room, put on my earpods so that I could listen to and watch everything right at the moment it dropped. So yeah.
How about you, Rhiannon? Where were you when you watched it?
I was at the office. I was supposed to be in a meeting that I was in charge of, and I was starting to get FOMO. So I sent out an edit to the meeting invite, which was not enough time. I should have made it a full 15 minutes.
Yeah, I only had time to watch once that morning. I had to save future views for later on. So I totally get it. Darn that real life of ours. How dare it interfere with our fangirling?
There was news that it was supposed to come out a few days earlier in the evening when we could have just probably not had all of these complications and sat with our feelings. But um, Vincent D'Onofrio shared that it was delayed because of the fires in LA. So
Yes.
we wanted to take a moment to just sort of send our heart out to those that were impacted by that.
We can certainly be patient, and I think it was the right call.
Yeah, like we've waited 6 years, right? So what's a few more days wait?
I still can't believe it's been 6 years. It's just nuts. Um, so my first feelings when I watched the trailer was I was kind of shocked at just how violent it was. We had been hearing from several sources, yes, it's going to be violent, it's going to be more dark and more violent than the original show. And I kept saying, yeah, I don't know about that. People were saying the same thing about Falcon and Winter Soldier, kind of didn't see John Walker beating someone with his shield. I'm like, I don't know. Um, but after seeing it, oh, wow. Yeah, this is going to be violent. This is definitely not going to be something for the kiddos. I really did do a double take at certain moments in that trailer.
Yeah, they definitely did not pull any punches when it came to the sheer brutality. There were several shots throughout the trailer where, you see and hear bones breaking and like, you know, blood, and it was quite violent. Yes.
They released a poster for the show, and some of those had like a parental warning on them. Like not all of them, but we've seen some from like other countries that has like a little parental guidance warning on the poster. So they definitely wanted to make a message when they felt like this is not Disney-fied. And I think we saw that in a lot of the reactions, like, "Oh, it's not Disney-fied."
Yeah, I think that was a concern among a lot of people in the fandom that, what if we get this back and it's not the same tone that we wanted? It's not what we expected. It doesn't feel like a continuation. And I think we can put those fears to rest at this point. My one concern personally is I want to make sure that the violence is brutal in service to the story. I was not a fan of the violence in the first show because it was violent. Whatever, that's not important to me. What impressed me about the first show is that the violence showed us how dangerous Wilson Fisk was, how dangerous Bullseye was, to what extent these people would go. So you really feel the stakes of how brutal and terrifying these people are. So I'm hoping that that's the same way they're going to use the violence in this show, and it's not just, okay, you guys wanted it violent, here we go, and I have faith because of the showrunner that it is going to be in service to the story.
Yeah, just violence just for the sake of violence is not really what we want. And the showrunner worked on Punisher, so I'm hoping he knows what these characters are about. And it's going to be, an homage to the original show and will continue the characterization and the writing that we all believe in and we were all fond of.
So it's really interesting. We're looking at this trailer and the views, and so far it's got 13 million views, which is just insane. And it shows how people were craving this trailer. It was the past couple of months have been hysterical. The amount of people just on social media saying, "Where's the trailer? Where's the trailer? Where's the trailer?" And at one point I thought, oh my gosh, they don't even care about dropping a trailer because they know how rabid people are for this show already, and they feel like they don't have to hype it up. That's not what happened. We did get the trailer, and it is a different trailer than what was shown at D23.
It definitely has more detail than that short footage that was leaked at D23. And quite detailed. Like it shows us a lot of the characters and a lot of the things going on, and who are the players that we are working with. We get the team back. Matt, Foggy, and Karen are back, and of course Wilson Fisk, and that diner conversation that is highlighted throughout the trailer. It's just amazing. Like Wilson almost seems a little more nostalgic about meeting Matt. He's like, it's not entirely unpleasant seeing you again. It's like, it was, I love it. I love that conversation. And I love the fact that that diner is the same diner where Matt and Electra had that meeting in season 2. So I love all those connections with the original show and how even their conversation is about their relationship from the previous shows.
I also love that we see Matt and Vanessa in front of the rabbit in the snowstorm painting, which is so symbolic about their relationship and the fact that they still have it hanging up with the blood spatter on it. That is not something that they're ashamed of or that they are pushing back from
Yeah,
or
they're not hiding that past. They're proud of that history, and in fact, like they probably this means that they acknowledge Daredevil's presence in their life because that kind of binds them together. That history, that painting has been around since season 1, episode 2, hasn't it?
I
think
think it was
it
3.
was,
Or episode 3,
yeah,
right? Rabbit
yeah,
in a Snowstorm.
Rabbit
Yes.
in a Snowstorm. We saw it for the first time. Yeah, but you're right. It does really have that. I hadn't thought about that. That's such a good point that it's almost celebrating their connection with Daredevil. Um, that's a really good point. And then, of course, we see Frank, and that's the same scene that we saw in the leaked
Trailer.
D23
Yeah.
trailer. So that wasn't new, but come on, we're seeing Frank again, which is really great. Um, and he looks really surprised to see Matt. So that's kind of fun. And I'm looking for confirmation. A lot of us really believe that in the courtroom, Frank figured out who Matt is. But it was never overtly said. So I'm very curious to see what he says about that.
Because, yeah, I mean, it was never confirmed verbally, but you could tell by the subtext and all the body language that he knew who Matt was. He had made that connection. And now this is post snap era, I believe. And were they both snapped or did they both not get snapped? Is that what's happening? Like, why is he back in a beard? Like, what's happening with Frank? Did he stop being a vigilante during this time? So I have a lot of questions, and I can't wait for the show to answer them. And I'm still waiting for a continuation of See You Around Red. Was that See You Around Red? How can I forget that?
Yeah. See you around, Red.
See You
Yep.
Around Red. I want a continuation at that. Is he gonna like keep it against Matt that he's now gone up in the world? It's like he's more famous and more successful as a lawyer. I don't know. He's gonna probably have some words about that, about what kind of a lawyer Matt has become now.
I'm really excited to see that. And then, of course, we see Bullseye. And we don't know a lot of details about what kind of a role he's going to play in the show, if he's going to have a major part, if he's just going to be in it for a little. But we see him. One of the shots was also a shot we saw in the D23 trailer, but another one was not. We do actually see him in Bullseye gear.
Yeah.
For it's not long, but we see that. So, we know he's going to put the suit on. We've also seen leaked footage from people from filming. So we know that's going to happen, and we know that's probably going to be really explosive. And I wonder if it's going to be, Poindexter still has a score to settle with Fisk. And I'm wondering if that's going to play into it or if it's just going to be Daredevil versus Bullseye.
Because he's in jail now and he went through that surgery, probably because that's what he saw in the post credits for season 3 finale. So does he blame Daredevil and his friends for what happened to him, or does he blame Fisk only? No, probably a combination of everything. So we'll see how that plays out.
We don't know that Fisk might be trying to manipulate Matt into joining up with him against Bullseye, or that he isn't trying to align with Matt to go up against Muse or something else. I don't put Fisk above trying to manipulate Matt into a common enemy.
Totally see that happening. As ju- I do think that he is trying to get Matt to work for him towards a common enemy, and that could be Muse. But of course, in the end, Fisk believed that he's gonna win. So he's gonna use everyone all as puppets, as players, or pieces on a chessboard. And all of these characters are people he wants to play with, including Matt. And Matt knows this. Matt says you're just trying to game the system. So he already knows it's a trap, but I think he might still walk into it because there
Yeah,
are other things happening.
that'll be interesting to see sort of how those twist, because in the comics, Matt was working from the DA's office
Yeah.
at some point when Fisk was mayor. So, I mean, we know that there is a Nelson Murdoch and Page situation happening, but who knows where Matt moves throughout the season. Because we've also had confirmation of Kirsten.
Mr. McDuffie. Yeah.
I always get Kirsten's last name wrong.
I thought it was interesting because we know that that character survived the rewrites, but I don't think we saw her in either the D23 trailer or this trailer.
I think we saw a shot from the ceiling, I think in the D23 one. The but nothing like from the front, nothing showing her face, but I think she was standing next to Matt in one of the shots from D23. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure we saw something like that.
And for our listeners that don't know what we're talking about, Nikki M. James was confirmed in something recently that she is Kirsten McDuffie. That's who we're looking for when we're looking for
Yes.
Kirsten. Because there was hot, steamy scene with Margarita.
Have we gotten official confirmation that she is playing Heather Glenn? Because I know that's been the talk, but I can't remember if that was ever actually confirmed.
Some of the articles have named her as that character,
Okay.
but I'm not sure they're coming from an official source or not. But some of the articles definitely have.
It seems very likely at this point that that is her character.
Yeah.
I can say one thing that I liked about the trailer is we saw all these characters we knew were going to be in it. We saw White Tiger. We saw Muse. We saw Michael Gandolfini. We still don't exactly know who he's playing, but I'm kind of glad they didn't throw any surprises at us. I want to be able to watch this show and be surprised by things. So I don't know, other people might feel differently, but I'm like, no, I'm glad that they didn't throw anything at us that we didn't already know as far as what characters were going to appear.
I don't want to be totally spoiled. I want some surprises along the way. That's what a good show does. So, yes, give us a little taste of what's coming in the trailer. And I'm sure there will be other trailers dropping, and they'll also, show us other details before the show premieres.
So, getting into the meat of the trailer and the things that we saw and the things that we heard, one of the most interesting things that was said in the dialogue is Matt tells Fisk a line was crossed. And this has got people, speculating, well, what does that mean? What does that mean? A line was crossed. And there are some people who are worried that Bullseye is going to kill someone important to Matt. And there are other people who are worried that Matt actually is going to kill Bullseye. What do you guys think about that?
I think there's the detail that a line was crossed and not I crossed a line. So I think that points more to Matt being Daredevil impacted his life in a way that crossed a line.
Yeah.
But that's as far as I want to go on that speculation.
When he said that line, they show that shot of the helmet, the cowl falling, and with a broken horn that looks like a D. But a lot of the speculation on the net is that that cowl is actually hiding something from that scene that we can't see in that shot, perhaps.
There's
I'm
been
not
a
looking
lot of
into those two things as much. There's a lot of misdirection in Marvel trailers. So that line and the broken horn could be two completely
Yeah,
separate things.
yeah.
they've
Yeah.
done that before. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that Bullseye has done so much damage in the comics to so many characters, they have a wide kind of a large history they can pull from if they wanted to. But let's remember that they are not afraid to change things in the comics. We all remember that scene in season 3 where we thought they were going full guardian devil and this was it, and they're in a church and Bullseye's going to kill Karen, and then he doesn't. So I agree that there might be misdirection and there might be twists. There might be plays on comic stories without following comic stories, and they might just completely come up with something new. That's one of the things I always liked about the MCU is they never use the comics as a Bible. There are certain points that have to be hit. There are characterizations that really can't be messed with, but as far as plot, they're not afraid to take things in another direction, and I like that.
and I know that people are worried about Foggy and Karen, and I am too. But then in the comics, Foggy, people thought he was dead and then he wasn't, right? So that has happened. The fake out, the fake death. So who knows what they're going to attempt in this season.
Questions personally about the timeline of how this is going to go. I've heard people saying that the first episode is going to be kind of a flashback, almost like this is what happened. I don't know if that is true, but we see in Echo, there's a scene that definitely took place in the past with Echo fighting Daredevil. And of course, at the end of Echo, we see Wilson Fisk getting the inspiration to run for mayor. As far as She-Hulk, when Matt is in LA, he is clearly both a lawyer and a vigilante. So whatever kind of decision he made into giving up being a vigilante, that has not happened yet because he's doing both in that scene.
Yeah, and he has this new suit maker, new tailor. in She-Hulk. So, so I always thought that the Echo flashback is pre-snap around season 2 Daredevil era, perhaps, because he's in that uniform, he's in that suit right now. And the She-Hulk stuff is post-snap, more current timeline.
I agree with you on that. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
would seem like it makes sense. So, do we want to talk about White Tiger at all? Because we see White Tiger putting on the suit in the trailer.
Hector Ayala. He's a very interesting character from the comics. And didn't Matt, yeah, in the comics too, Matt has represented him as a lawyer.
Yes. And also, it's important to keep in mind that the White Tiger isn't a singular person. It's
Yes.
whoever is wearing the amulet. So going back to a line was crossed, it could also be something in regards to another White Tiger or Hector that we did see. So the White Tiger amulet passes to multiple people in the comics. So they could be bringing that in. But I loved the White Tiger storyline in the comics, and I'm excited to see what they do with it in the show.
Because
That
I forget which run that was, but I think one of the versions, like the Hector Ayala version, was killed during a court trial that Matt was representing him for, I think. I don't
yes,
know
like
which
he was
one.
killed on the front of the court steps or something
Yes,
like that.
right. He was shot.
Yes.
Who killed him?
I have not studied up to remember
I
that.
should have. I should have brushed up my comics.
I
No,
know we are not our usual on the ball selves.
no, no.
Save Daredevil has been going through some things, listeners.
Yes, we've individually we've had some stresses in our lives. So, um, but speaking of White Tiger, I found it interesting they went with Hector Ayala because Angela Del Toro was name dropped in Jessica Jones.
Right.
So I was kind of wondering if we're going to bring her White Tiger in, but did not happen.
Still could happen. I mean, the trailer doesn't give us everything that we're going to see in the whole series. So that still could. Also, I mean, I continuity when we're looking at over 100 episodes of the Defenders series from before. Even back when Eric Olson was going to be making season 4 of Daredevil, he was going to be doing a soft reboot of the Typhoid Mary that was presented in Iron Fist season 2. Like, I'm thankful that we're going to have continuity from our Daredevil series with Rabbit in a Snowstorm and the actors, and hopefully in a lot of ways, but man, continuity, bringing in all the other series and Punisher and Jessica Jones and Iron Fist and Luke Cage, because we have hints of Harlem's Paradise. That would be a lot of continuity to try to keep in check. So if that name drop disappears somehow, but I also think we could still definitely see her in another, especially if Hector has an unfortunate demise.
Yeah, especially because the name drop was like one sentence and it was just, I can recommend another private investigator to you. And that's it. So that could go anywhere. That could just be a feather in the wind and it's gone forever. Or they could bring the character in. It didn't really say anything else. I feel like we do have to acknowledge that Camar de los Reyes passed away in December 2023. And of course, it was just very sad to learn that back in December.
That's true. Yeah.
So you had mentioned the Harlem's Paradise Easter egg, which I have to admit, when I did not see that myself, someone else had pointed it out to me, but I got super excited about that. I did on the first time through notice the Rogers the Musical banner because it just jumped out like the font, and I'm still kicking myself that I did not have a chance to see that when it was playing in California Adventure because the timing was messed up. I did not get a chance to go out and see it. A friend of mine recorded the whole thing and sent it to me in very choppy videos, but I think it's fantastic that in that California Adventure show, Nick Fury actually sings a line about Daredevil, where it's a song where he's catching Captain America up on everything that he's missed while he was asleep, and have a lawyer who can't really see it, and that's it. But I just thought it was so funny. But apparently, Rogers the Musical is still playing in New York City. It's still on Broadway. I wonder if it was up for any Tonys. I don't know.
Well, Roger the Musical has, we've seen those billboards in other shows as well. I think we saw it in She-Hulk, and I don't know if we saw it in Echo or not, but definitely She-Hulk, we saw Roger the Musical billboards.
Yeah, I mean, Broadway's tough these days, so for it to stay on through like 3 different series is a pretty epic Broadway run,
Yeah, it must have
no
done
matter
really
what
well.
no matter what the continuity of timeline is. I go up to New
So,
York and see a lot of the musicals right when they come out and stuff because they are closing fast. So,
Harlem's Paradise is the nightclub that that was featured in Luke Cage, and he, at the end of season 2, he owned it, right?
Yep. Mariah Dillard left it to him, and he's running it, and he's portrayed almost as maybe being a crime lord. Like, the idea is that someone has to keep the peace in Harlem, and if he doesn't do it, no one else is going to do it, is his kind of very misguided intent. And so the last thing we see, I believe he does a creepy look into the camera where it looks like he's looking at us, and he's behind the desk with the painting in the background, and he's in Harlem's Paradise. So there have been rumors all over the place about Luke and Jessica showing up. We have no idea if they are true. At this point, I feel like there's rumors that everyone is going to be in this show. And so we're kind of just being very skeptical about what we hear. Because it's kind of like when Civil War was coming out, there were rumors all over the place that all of these characters are going to be in it, and we didn't get it. So I'm not holding my breath. I would love it. I would love to see Jessica and Luke and Danny and Colleen and all of them. I'd love to see them back, but we don't have any kind of credible source that is saying that that is going to happen.
And we also have season 2 to look forward to, because they have already started, or they're going to start filming pretty soon for season 2. So as we knew that originally it was meant to be an 18 episode season, and then they went through all the overhauls and stuff, and it's been broken down into 2 seasons of 9 episodes each. But there's even speculation there might be season 3 coming. Who knows? How, if this thing is successful, we might get more than season 2 as well. So let's make it successful. Let's be hyped about it and watch when it drops. And Marvel people are not stupid. They will continue this if it's popular and successful and gets good ratings.
The amount of trending that went on around that trailer, I have no doubt that it's going to be widely watched. I have a feeling it's going to break viewership records when it drops. It's something that people were already hyped about. They're already excited. And so this just completely got people more excited, because when they saw the violence and they saw the brutality and they said, oh, wait a minute, this looks like it's going to really be a continuation. Speaking of the violence, there's that one scene of someone in a red mask. Looks like almost like the scarf situation from the Defenders, breaking someone's leg. And there's been a lot of back and forth about, is that Matt or is that someone else? And
I think it's somebody else. I don't that
because
that
there's
is
eye
not,
holes.
no, not the guy who's being beaten up. Some people are talking about, is that Matt being beaten up?
the reason why I don't think it's Matt in the red mask, and who knows, I could be wrong. I'm not saying I'm right, but the guy looks like he was already down. And I don't know that Matt would find someone who is already down and then break his leg. But I don't know. Matt looks like he's going through some stuff, so maybe it is. I think this is just another one of those speculating is not going to get us anywhere. We just have to wait and see type of situations.
I'd like to speculate neither of them look like Matt to me, but we'll see. I could be wrong. And speaking of the trailer and the hype and the reaction, like the trailer dropped at 9 a.m. Central, and by noon, there were already tons of reaction videos up on YouTube because I know I was on lunch at noon and I watched a bunch of them. So people were very excited.
Yeah, it's currently up to 13 million views. There's 13 million views. There's tons of hype. There are still people discovering the original series. So, welcome if you're anybody new to the bandwagon. We don't care. You can join our bandwagon at any point.
Yeah,
So, it's
I was
I
excited.
shared the trailer link with one of my coworkers, and he had only watched season one like way back when it first came out. And he's like, "Oh my God, this looks so good. I have a lot of catching up to do in the month and a half." I'm like, "Yes, you do. You have got to watch all three seasons and Defenders."
Yeah, that's important. If you're someone who's new to Daredevil, don't watch season 1, season 2, and season 3, or you will be very confused. It's season 1, season 2, Defenders, and season 3. If you don't want to watch the Defenders, then read a really good recap because stuff happens in Defenders that directly sets up season 3, and you'll be very confused if you skip that show. So something else that I was psyched about is when we heard a variation on the original music. So I was really psyched and I listened to it a couple of times. They definitely quote the original theme, which was
Oh yeah.
super exciting. We know that the Newton brothers have said that they love the original theme and they loved what John Paisano did. So it's not surprising to me that they would keep it, but also put their own spin on it, which I think is completely appropriate. I was not expecting them to completely lift the whole theme and go, here you go. So it was exciting. And it was another, wink to the OG fans of, yeah, this is going to be something that you're going to like. This is completely pointing back to that show you were obsessed with. Despite all of I've noticed a lot of the official marketing of the show has the term all new show in it. It's still very clear that they're saying this is an all new show. However, this is definitely tying back to the OG series, and the music definitely did that.
Yeah, that was one of the first things that on my first watch, the music, Kristina, I couldn't believe it took you a second watch. It hit me in the feels. I was like, okay, like sure, there's blood, there's bones breaking, but the music was like, okay, here we are. We really are original. I'm excited, you guys.
I am super excited. I love seeing Matt both as a lawyer and as a vigilante. Something that's like a through line in the comics and in our show is that when he tries to give up one or the other, it doesn't work. He needs both of it. And I think that this show looks like it's going to address that struggle, that he has to find a way to do this. He has to find a way to bring balance. Matt Murdock is at his best when he's miserable. Sorry. But also, you can't just have someone be miserable all the time. You have to see them actually happy, or it's not heartbreaking when they're miserable. And it looks like we are going to get that too. Looks like we are going to get happy Matt, and then we're going to get miserable Matt, and it's going to be really good.
Happy Matt followed by miserable Matt is the best Matt.
It has to be a roller coaster that goes up and down. I feel like too many shows like go down and then they're just like, well, let's find further down and we can go further down and maybe we'll plateau a little bit, but like Matt's life is best when it has ups and downs. So hopefully we'll see all of that.
I really enjoyed the presentation that the gap between season 1 and season 2, everything was great. I really liked that. And I'm hoping that that's how the show starts, saying between season 3 and this show, everything was great. It gives you the idea that he actually has something to lose. So I'm hoping that's what we see there.
Seems like he has a new girlfriend. If it's Heather,
Yeah.
she has an interesting history in the comics. So I wonder how closely they're going to follow the comics when it comes to Heather's history.
You know, Matt's girlfriends, I think with the exception of Kirsten, really, they usually wind up in not a good place. So I'm hoping that Heather somehow walks out of this with her head held high and okay, because it can get a little wearying. I'm
Yeah.
glad that they never did that with Karen. They didn't give Karen the horrible tragedy that they gave her in the comics, and I hope they stick with it. I don't mind that he's not romantic with Karen. I think that Karen Page is a fantastic character in these shows, and she is not just one half of one ship or another ship. She doesn't need to be involved with anybody. She's just a very strong, fascinating character.
Yeah, I think that's how Deb also feels about it. Yeah, she likes the fact that she can stand on her own 2 feet and not be, you know, arm candy for a guy. And that's also like, I'm also interested. I really want to see Kirsten because she was, in my opinion, one of the more stable relationships that Matt had in the comics. But again, not necessarily in a romantic sense. I want to see Kristen McDuffie because she was a kick-ass lawyer and a great character. So I hope we see more of her in this season or next.
Definitely.
Does anyone have any final thoughts about the trailer that they want to share?
So I'm scared of what Muse is gonna do because he's a messed up character in the comics. But I'm excited to see it as well. Seems like he's the common threat that Fisk and Daredevil are both facing.
Yeah, I'm excited. It looks like they have a complex, twisty season planned. And back to what you guys were saying early in the podcast, like I hope there is plot with the violence that backs up all of that. And there was enough in this trailer that, assuming they didn't show us everything, and we know that they didn't show us everything, there was enough there to get really excited about what they've put together. So,
Same
it's
here.
I'm interested in getting confirmation of who Michael Gandolfini is playing because that has not been publicly released. A lot of people are saying he's going to be Richard Fisk. And if he's Richard Fisk, they've got some splaining to do because if they are keeping the continuity from the original Daredevil show, that cannot be Vanessa's kid. So either they're going to throw out that continuity, which would annoy me to no end, or it's going to be Wilson's son with somebody else. Or, of course, he could be playing someone completely different. We didn't ever get anything official about who he's playing. So I'm interested in finding out that.
I'm trying really hard not to speculate and jump and try to dig in and see stuff. That's just sort of my headspace is.
What's that foggy line? It's let's not jump to the things people jump to.
Yeah.
Was that what he said? Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not thinking about it as deep as you, Kristina.
Like let's just take it as it comes, right? And enjoy it
Yeah.
on whatever when the show drops. We're all excited for when the show drops. We're all planning to watch it together one way or the other. So whether it's, from on Discord or streaming or in person, we're all going to, enjoy this premiere together.
We are, and we hope that you do too. And we want to hear what you guys think. So, what were your reactions to the trailer? Did anything stick out to you? Did anything pose any questions that you're just dying to find the answer to? Please let us know about that. And remember, you can go to our website, savedaredevil.com. There are links there to all of our socials. We're pretty much everywhere at this point. And we cannot wait for this show. If there is another trailer, which there probably will be, we hope to react to that and let you know our thoughts on that. But in the meantime, we're almost there. I can't believe we're almost there after years of campaigning. So thanks for coming along on the ride with us. We're so psyched and have a great time when this show drops. Just enjoy every moment of it.
Thank you and bye, everyone.